Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and please forgive the background noise, because for some unknown reason my neighbours have been doing DIY since 7 AM, and it's too hot in here to not have a window open. Yeah, I'm having a fun day. Hollywood can't write women, and this is a prime example of it in The Rings of Power. Hollywood can't seem to write real, honest, vulnerable, strong women without them being an embodiment of toxic femininity and toxic feminism, or just the angry woman trope. And I find that trope problematic. I hate that word, but it's a good way to describe it. Not all women want to scream at the patriarchy, the imaginary patriarchy, and shame and devalue their male co-workers, or even outdo them just to show that they're powerful. It's a very toxic trait, and we've seen it many times. So before we get into this discussion, here's a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Mountaineer brand. All natural products for everything that you will ever need, from deodorants to beard oils to shaving products to skincare and more. Discount code, as you can see, don't forget to try them. Absolutely fantastic, great company. I use their stuff daily. As someone who is basically allergic to everything, their products have been a godsend. So, like I said, discount and all the info you need below. Galadriel, the books and of the written works and even the Peter Jackson movies, is the magic user in D&D. She never was this warrior. She was prideful in her younger years, but she was never a warrior. Amazon have taken a quote from Tolkien, which refers to her strength as a person, and taken it into a literal term, where he referred to her as an Amazon. Not only is this character has been completely rewritten, and actually borrows more from Elrond's story than Galadriel's, which I find really strange. They've kind of taken Galadriel's story and put that on Elrond a bit, and their character traits, they've swapped them. They've made him the magic user, where he was the warrior. And they've made her an unlikable Mary Karen. The entirety of the first 2 episodes, she's pretty much screaming at people, telling them that they're wrong, and that she's the only one that's right. Then she does Selene from Underworld style combat that looks completely artificial, in her 3D printed squidgy armour. That is a thing. The problem is, this trope of writing, of completely derailing these characters and turning them into something they're not. Her nearest on-screen relative is Michael from Star Trek Discovery, another unlikable angry woman trope that seems to exist purely just to scream at the audience. And the sort of agenda of the show is quite obvious. You can write strong independent women without them being toxic. You can write strong independent women without them being angry all the time. Unless, and I've just thought of this, what if that is just representative of the writer's room of this show? Having read through the Silmarillion, the Lost Tales, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the histories of Middle-earth, the characters of Middle-earth, Tolkien's letters, Tolkien's essays, Tolkien's other work, Galadriel is one of the most important female characters in... Actually, she is one of the most important characters within Lord of the Rings. Her story, her characterization, everything she has gone through leads to those moments. At this point in the Second Age, she is thousands upon thousands of years old, but this isn't where she's meant to be. She's very teenage in this, and she's very badly written. The dialogue she's got is cheesy as hell. And I mean that, like, Xena Warrior Princess does it better, and that was meant to be cheesy. You get what I mean there. This way of writing women, I think, completely devalues strong female characters in books and on screen and in movies and TV and video games. It's all about being angry, it's all about the activism, and not taking into account that maybe that's not representative of every woman on the planet. But also to take a character that is as important as Galadriel and make her this unlikable, shrieking bitch. It reads wrong. It reads wrong, and it's, again, devalues her as a character and makes her like every other character. We've seen this before with Rey from Disney's Star Wars, for example. Wesley Crusher from Star Trek Next Generation. I'm picking on him because he's the archetypal Mary Sue, and these tropes of him go into these characters. Michael from Star Trek Discovery. Unlikable, character with no real development who gets everything handed to them with no work or effort and no growth. We see this pointlessly. We see it. This story becomes generic. To make her from one of the most important characters within Middle-earth and its realms to a generic, angry feminist with a sword screaming at people. It feels so wrong. And I would love a series or a movie of her actual story, of her travelling around the realms and meeting people. It would be like, I could imagine it more as Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman with orcs than anything else. Galadriel is not representative of the character she should be and represents a trope of a character she isn't. And we see it over and over, and it's a repeat, rinse cycle. Toxic female characters that if you took their traits into a man, blue ticks on Twitter would be streaming about toxic masculinity. She-Hulk, for example, is another prime example of this. A character that completely devalues the Hulk's real story and what he has been through as a character, and says, well, I've been catcalled, therefore I have better control than you. It doesn't work that way. And I think the sooner they realise this, the sooner they know that these characters aren't saving your material, women aren't saving your works. Women like this aren't saving your works. These characters aren't representative of women I know, women I admire. These characters are representative of angry feminists who have nothing better to do, who scream about patriarchy that's completely imaginary, and ultimately the destruction of characters to please them is very sad. I do wonder how they can develop this or save this, but the inconsistencies with her story and character disconnect her from the works of Tolkien into both the books and the Peter Jackson movies. It's like they went on Wish and got a Galadriel cosplay. Doesn't help the actress as unlikable, and I won't hide my feelings towards her there. She needs to shut up on social media, but that's a whole different discussion. Again, you have a good timeline in the appendices of The Lord of the Rings. You have good characterization. Why didn't you use it to make her? I'm just wondering that.